Hey everybody, back again due to a Facebook glitch that said that I deleted the pencil work for this a little while ago. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and ink it so you guys will have something to review on what I did for the sketch card today. I've already tapped this down really well with a soft gum eraser, and now I'm just going to go in and ink right over the pencils and go for it. I don't really mind the heavy graphite because, like I said, I just got the dust off of it, and that's what I do, and then move right in. A lot of people will pamper this really heavy. If this was a more professional piece, not to say that I'm not giving you guys good work, it's just if it was a pro piece that I was being paid for, I would probably erase all of this and ink over the really finite lines. But since it's not, and it's a sketch card, one, I don't want to destroy the materials, but two, I want to keep it fairly quick so you guys can see what happens. Now I'm just outlining this right now so that I can get the finer details, and then I'll go in with some bigger pins, Sharpies, things like that, and knock this out real quick with these bigger blacks that I'm leaving open right now. The more hardline I am with them, they'll hold up better in transition and not bleed. At least quite as badly anyway. These microns don't bleed at all as far as my experience goes. I've never had one bleed on me. Even a brush tip, I've never had one bleed on me. But there's a first time for everything, you know. It could bust out and ruin this thing. You never know what could happen. Hopefully that won't. That would be a bummer. But there we go. Like I said, I'm just outlining these major pieces, and then I'll go in and black them out with a blunt tip so I don't tear the card up. There are a lot of people that would prefer that I leave it open and leave the gray in there, but it won't hold the color if I do that because of the way I penciled it. I saturated it instead of leaving it open for color, so when you do that, it tends to block it out, oversaturating the card, and all that leftover graphite in the pencil marks will absorb the colored ink and turn it a nasty darker hue. It muds it up. And we don't want to do that. Especially with my my Copics. I don't want to have to replace all those tips. Not just yet. I'm going to turn it this way. They're holding up on me because I baby them quite a bit. And I have a full set, so I try not to be harsh with them. As long as you don't go 20 directions with the tips, and you with those Copics, that's funny because whenever you don't go too hard on the tips, and you rotate your markers in your hand as you use them, do a couple strokes one way, then turn the pin, rotate it in your hand, and it'll save on that tip. I mean, I know I'm inking right now and I'm not coloring this thing yet, but that's a tip to take away from right there, because that's a huge one. If you baby those tips and rotate them, they'll last you 3 to 5 times longer than they would from you just opening it and doing a whole piece in one shot in the same exact pose and direction in your hand with a tip, just mashing down the brush. Because that's what does it. It breaks down the fibers. But if you rotate it, it pushes it back the other direction. Which is a cool side effect, that it actually softens the brush too. A lot of people say that's just the fibers breaking down, but I don't think so, as much as it just makes them more pliable over time. So think about that. Hey, Matt. Oh, I see a couple other people made it too. Awesome. Nick, Shelley. Sunil made it too. Cool. Thank you guys for coming back. It's awesome. Yeah, sorry about the crash earlier. I have no idea what happened. When the video posted, it said that the video was deleted by the owner, and it was me, and it showed my ID, but I didn't do it. All I did was refresh my screen to show it on my timeline, and it was gone. And then all of a sudden, it was gone. It was weird. But life goes on. So we're back now. We still got the card, and I'm going to ink this thing out, and stiffen this thing up by solidifying these blacks. Okay. Sorry about that. I had somebody pop on. I had to answer that real quick. Live inking. That one I had to answer. That was somebody I was expecting a post from. I needed to, a message from. I needed to answer. It's about one of my wonderful projects going on, which I won't go into right now. Just trying to cover the good old inks here. Get Domino done. Hey, Tom. Jim, thanks for joining, man. I appreciate it. I'm going to go get this ring down here on her collar. You know, I wasn't when they changed her hair for X-Force, the new X-Force reboot. You know, I almost didn't care for this character enough to even follow it, but I got stuck in when X-Force had Colossus and Domino mixed in, and they started having a fling. You know, that was pretty unexpected. And that's when I got hooked in. And then she cut off all her hair right after they broke up. So I was like, okay. Dramatic change. The writers were having fun with that. But it's grown on me. I've really gotten accustomed to it, and I like it. I mean, I miss the bob that she originally had, but I guess, you know, everybody does the bob's haircut style thing going on now, and it's gotten an old hat. But this is an easy, fun hairstyle to draw, and I really enjoy it. It's fun. I'm going to get my big knuckles in the way here so I can hold this down. And I am, I'm going to switch over to my 5 so that I can get a blunt line here. And if you guys just saw me do that and you're comic artist, don't do what I just did. Don't ever, when you're inking, don't ever go back. Go one solid line and never ever go back. I have a bad habit of doing that when I do stuff personally, and then I have to go back and lace the line again, so to make it nice and even. So don't do that. And if an editor ever catches you doing that, they'll whack you on the back of the head with a yardstick. It'll be bad. So I'm going to go in right here and work on this hairline a little bit and thicken up these edges. But yeah, never break that rule. You know, if you're going to go one direction, complete the line, then you can go back in one solid line, that's fine. But don't ever go, you know, scribble it back and forth, because that makes the line uneven. And it'll show up and break your line work real quick. Now I know you saw me move that right there, and you're going to think I just did what I said not to do, but I didn't. I curved it to that line right there is what I did. I went back down this way, back up this way, back down, and then back up. So I don't want anybody freaking out. But you just said, I can just see it. Alright, gonna run it up here. There we go. Cool. Now I'm gonna do something I don't often show on cam. I'm gonna do something to hold the card down here. I'm gonna cap my pen so I don't ruin it. Excuse my allergies. I use these to help hold them down for stuff that I'm doing. Sometimes when I need assistance. They're drafting rulers. You can find them just about any hobby shop, Hobby Lobby, or any of that. You know, Michael's. Any of those places have them. You can get them just about at any craft store too. Excuse me. But yeah, I use these to hold the edges down so that I don't warp a lot of these cards when I'm inking, because there's so much moisture in the ink, they end up starting to bow on me. As you can see, the corners are starting to buckle up. And I don't want them to bend and put waves in my lines, because that's a horrible thing to have happen. We don't want wavy lines. So I'm going to go over here, and like I said, I'm just shaping this out with the line work to block it off and give it borders so that I can do what I need to do when I go in with the heavier black in a minute. And I'm going to let you guys freak out and scream as I do the ink lines here with a Sharpie on this card. It should be impressive. watch all the professionals scream because they know I shouldn't do that. But because this is a card series that is for fun, I am going to do that for expediency. Because if I try to paint these or brush this, it's going to drown this card and it's going to warp it. I don't want to do that. So, so while I'm inking here, since I got you guys on, talk to me about this stuff. Do you guys have a favorite X-Force character? I know everybody was talking about before everything crashed. Is that no? Okay. I thought there was something in here. It was a dust bunny or something from my table. Sorry about that. I got distracted. I was going to ask you guys, because when the pencil film crashed, I was going to see what was going on with answering your questions about the needed eraser and a couple of other things about Deadpool going on, because Domino is supposed to be making an appearance in the Deadpool movie, but no one knows exactly who's playing her or how it's going to show up yet. You know, it's kind of like the surprise appearance of Shocker in Spider-Man Homecoming, which wasn't expected. Everybody knew that the Vulture was going to be in it with Michael Keaton, but nobody knew that it wasn't really made public that the Shocker was going to be in it, and that Kraven was going to be in it. And Gerard Butler is playing Kraven, which I'm excited about that. That's one of the good things I'm looking forward to with the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. But as far as Deadpool 2 goes, who knows? I still haven't seen anything on it, and I did a little research between the last video and this one, where I looked some stuff up, and I still can't find out who they've cast as Cable, and I can't find out who, as yet, I don't say can't, but I haven't found out yet who they've cast as Domino. So if you guys hear anything, let me know. I would love to hear that. I've about got this laid out to where we're going to be able to put in some blacks here and knock this bad boy out. I might even get it done fast enough to get some color on here too while we're filming. We'll see. I make no promises. Always hard edge your blacks. That's what I'm doing. So now, I'm going to scare everybody, as promised, with a blunt Sharpie. If Jim's still watching, this is where he will scream. Excuse me. I might have to stop and get a drink for a second. This is a lot easier than it looks. You just have to stay away from the edges and not hold the tip down too long so it doesn't bleed over. And Lord forbid, don't walk it across. Put a big dot on her head. Why does she have a big dot? It's a beauty mark. Shut up. I think this is going to work out just fine. And because this is one big mass, I can go right over that line. And soften that edge just a little. I try not to scribble these back and forth, you know, like a crayon back and forth too much. Except for in specific spots that I want to darken up. And the reason I want to darken those up is because I want them to saturate the card a little bit, and I can feel the grit of the pencil if it's a little heavy in places. So I know it's not going to be as thick or as prominent. So, see, that works out just fine. Now before I get to that hair, I'm going to do some of this finer work in this suit and then this neck. Some of it. I have a finer Sharpie for some of this heavier stuff. I'm going to switch over now. I looked at my hand because I stuck my finger on the ink and I don't want to put it on the card. My throat drops finally kicked in, so hopefully my throat will clear up a little bit. Sorry about the coughing. It got really warm yesterday, and then today it got really cool this afternoon. In comparison, it got into the 70s this evening, and it's jacked my sinuses up, my allergies up. Okay. Now see, I missed a line right there. If I'd have gone over that, see that white strip right there, and see that pencil strip, if I'd have colored that in with this, it would have bled it over. It's okay to make mistakes. Just make sure you watch out for them and change up. What I like to use is a Sharpie fine point. Excuse me, a medium point. And I've got the fine points here too. That's why I said that. But I like to use the Sharpie fine point, the mediums, for stuff like this, the finer stuff. That way I don't go in there and mess it all up. So now that I've got that line, I'll go ahead and fill this in. Back and forth, back and forth. Now, I'll go into like I use these for mass blacks, like cards like this and commissions and things, for one-offs that I do at events, that kind of stuff. I try not to mess with using these. Like I said, I don't use these things for paid work unless it's specifically asked for in an expedient situation. Oh, I wanted to go down here and show you guys. What we're going to do is I'm going to outline these with the finer pen like this, just like I did before. I'm going to make a barrier or a border and get those fine points so they don't get messed up. And then whenever I get the mass in the center, I can go in with a Sharpie and pop that off, a blunt, and pop that off. I need to quit saying blunt. Somebody's going to think I'm talking about something else. But I don't want the youngsters to have an issue. So see, that streams that right up, no problem. You can do a lot finer work with this than you think you can. A lot of people are afraid to death of them and won't touch them because of that fact. But I'm okay with it. I don't know. I like the feel of them. The ink's good and heavy. And as long as they do the job, I'm fine with them. A lot of people swear that you shouldn't touch them, but I use whatever works. And in this case, it does. And again, excuse my coughing. Like I said, I'm having a cough fit here, apparently. Now, see, I'll go in and saturate these so that they seal up any pale spots. Or light edges. Very cool. Go back over that a little bit. Now I'm going to leave that one open and let that set and dry a little bit and work more on some of this hair that we have down here. Now see, right in that peak I missed a little bit because I was being gentle with it, but I gotta get that taken care of. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap that around. Now in these, because they go to longer points, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave them open and I'll go in with the smaller one and tighten them up. Because I don't want to risk that tip bleeding over. And I don't want to crush it. Now, if you just saw that, I just flipped my pin over. Like I was talking about with the Copics, I do that with my Sharpies too to keep the tips rounded. You'll see me rotate it once in a while in my hand. It'll be a real quick flip. And that'll be the extent of it. I really dig being able to draw this character. It's been a while, but like I said, I draw her all the time. Probably 2-3 times a month. In different variations and incarnations of her. Depending on the style that I want to do at the time. It just gives me a great experience of coming back to a character that I know and like. And the freedom of changing her up in the different variations of what she's got going on. And the reason I like doing that is because it gives me a contemporary take on a classic character now, because she's been around for 20 years, 20 plus years. It was 90 or 91 when X-Force #1 came out, and she'd already appeared in the New Mutants for a while, off and on, when they changed over. So she's been around a while. And if you didn't catch the sarcasm and the dry, sad note in my voice right then, it's just I realized I've been drawing this character for all that time. So go ahead and line out like I did before. Line out around this ear, down into the peak of the hair here. Line that off, peek that out. Just trying to solidify those finer points so I don't jack it up when I go in with a hard black. And if you want to know the ones that I crush, it's these. I buy these things by the case, and I just destroy them. And it's because I'm hard on them, because I do like I'm doing right now. I'm doing overcoloring work with them more than I should, and I just dry these little buggers right up. But instead of doing that, I'm going to switch over and color this out. So you guys can see the progress of the card with my big hand out of the way. Okay, cool deal. Now, in this one right here, I'm going to switch back over, because there's a white line right there. Okay. I think I got it. Yep. Cool. Now I'm making sound effects over here. I'm popping and clicking my mouth. Just, that's nervous energy. I know I've about got it finished up, so it's a nice recovery from the loss of the pencil work. That was so nice. And you guys did a great interaction job with it. I so appreciate the comments and stuff, and the questions. That was fun. I opened it up to answer them, and boom, gone. I was like, really? You're going to be like that, Facebook? But whatever. Life goes on. We're going to get this nailed out and go from there. So, really digging the look of this. I'm going to go back to my 3 and line out the teeth in that zipper, which I did set on the parallel as they're supposed to be. Okay, now I got a little bit here at the top to line out and finish up, and then we will be wrapped up. I think that's phenomenal. I got my big knuckles in the way, I know, I'm sorry about that. But I'll move here in just a second so you guys can see what's going on. Alright. I think that's scoped out enough that I can go in with the big one here, the blunt, and color that out. Without doing too much damage, if any. Yep. There we go. Now I'm going to let that ink dry and set, and then I'll come in and clean that out, and we will go from there. So we have Domino from X-Force. I appreciate you guys joining me. I'm going to clean this. Like I said, I'll let this have a good hour to set, because Sharpie inks work a little bit different, and you can't erase them if you don't let them set for a little while. I'll let that dry up, then I'll go in and color it, and I'll see you guys soon. Catch you tomorrow with Martian Manhunter, and hopefully we won't have any issues, but I appreciate it. Take care.